We're here to turn the tide. We've got pot pride. Okay, so what do we want? We want equal rights because we are the good people. We are cannabis consumers. Are you all cannabis consumers out here? Yeah. Or at least cannabis friendly. We need the cannabis, we need the friends and family members of cannabis consumers as well. Because this is also very much our movement for pot pride is very similar to the gay pride movement and gay rights movement for equal rights. And I use them personally as my model with the Cannabis Consumers campaign of coming out of the closet to stand up for our equal rights as our model. Because what we know is that as long as we are in the closet and as long as the media and the government has their say of who we are and what we're about, they will distort it and they will give you lots of misinformation and tell you what losers we are. But we know that we really are some of the most intelligent, some of the most creative, some of the most hardworking, nicest, decent, honest people that we know. At least that's the case for my experience with that, and I'm sure it is similar with you too, because cannabis consumers really are good people. And if you ask Orrin Hatch, the senator from Utah, he said you can tell a cannabis consumer, you can tell that your kids are getting involved with pot. If all of a sudden they have some, they care about the environment, and if they care about social justice. So that's what a lot of cannabis consumers are about, the environment, saving the earth, and also about fairness and justice in our society. So I guess I'll start with me, and I'll give you a little plug for my website, which is cannabisconsumers.org. And if you go to that website, I have people coming out of the closet, and the idea is to change the image of who we are, to give people a real, concrete image instead of the abstraction of who a pot smoker is. So on my website, I have over 300 people, photos and their profiles of what we do and how we give back. And I can tell you we come from all walks of life. All religions, people who fill out these surveys, and they've told me these things, all kinds of educational backgrounds. A lot of people are college educated, a lot of people in the computer industry. You have a high representation there. Musicians, artists, teachers, students, CEOs of major corporations are cannabis consumers as well. Doctors, lots of lawyers. So we cross the spectrum of who we are and where we come from, and all religions too. So it's really an interesting project, the Cannabis Consumers Campaign, and the goal, as I said, is to show that we are the good people, that we give back to our communities. Many of us volunteer, many of us in various food banks, homeless shelters, all kinds of things. We give back, and we get awards too. And that's the thing I like to emphasize on my website is the accomplishments that we've made to show that cannabis is actually a very beneficial thing in our lives. That it's if you maintain a good relationship with it. And I encourage you all to be responsible with your use, to know that it's actually benefiting you and not causing problems in your life. And if it is causing problems in your life, I encourage you to stop blaming pot. It's always been blamed for everything. So stop blaming pot and take responsibility for your life, and cut back and reassess, and maybe not use it if it's causing problems for you. Because most of us, I know, can use it in a very responsible manner that enhances our lives in many ways. Gives us creative insight, gets us in touch with our spiritual selves. It enhances sex, it enhances food, it enhances music, it enhances all kinds of things. And if we use it that way, we will be happy and try to stay out of trouble with it. because that is really the biggest problem that we have, are the laws against it. And so what we have to do is come out of the closet and stand up and demand our equal rights, that we deserve the same rights as people who use alcohol responsibly. And that's the goal of what we are doing, and to show that aside from the obvious discrimination that we suffer from in terms of the arrest and the policies that make it illegal, the arrests, the incarcerations, the destruction of the family, we are also banned from the website through job-based, I call it job-based discrimination, which is what drug testing is all about, because it does not show that doesn't test your impairment or your unsuitability for a job. It just shows whether or not you consumed cannabis in the last few weeks. And so we need to say no to drug testing, and that should be a matter of our dignity and our equal rights that we need to stand up for. So there's lots to say, and there's a lot of people on this panel, so I think I will start introducing some other speakers here. Why don't we start with Keith? Keith Stroup, the founder of NORML.
And the world's oldest marijuana smoker. When I think about Pot Pride, actually, we've learned a lot from Mikki and her work over the years. I will be the first to concede that in the early years of NORML, when I go back and read some of the testimony I gave before Congress in the 1970s, especially in 72 and 73, and the testimony I gave before the Marijuana Commission in 71, I think, it's shockingly conservative. We felt it was necessary to make the point that we were not pro-pot, we were anti-prison. And of course that's true, we are anti-prison. There were 831,000 marijuana smokers arrested last year. Of course we're anti-prison. It's a stupid and destructive policy. But that's only part of the formula. And as important as it is to point out that we should focus those law enforcement resources in more important areas, violent crime, etc., the real reason we need to end marijuana prohibition is because there's absolutely nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana. It should be none of the government's business. But we didn't have the courage to say that in the 70s. People like Ramsey Clark was one of our early supporters and was very involved in when we were setting up NORML's principles. If I would have suggested to Ramsey Clark in 1970 that I thought pot was a positive experience and that I wish all Americans would experience it, I think he would have run the other direction, frankly. So maybe at the time there were valid reasons why we held back the true message. But I can tell you that since 1994-95, when I got back involved in the organization, I decided it was important to be honest. I think it's time to say, look, we're a marijuana smokers lobby. We're not here just because we care about the criminal justice system. We're really here because we represent the perspective of marijuana smokers in America, and we do so unabashedly. We're proud to do so. And I've found in my life, and I include it in all of my lectures now, when I'm at some setting where you have time to talk in a little more detail, that I do think, I mean, of course pot helps you enjoy sex and good food and good music, and that's not bad. Most products would be happy if they could make that claim. Well, we all know that's true, but that's only half of it. For many of us, the experience of smoking marijuana puts you in a little better relationship with the rest of the universe. You're a little more compassionate towards people and issues that maybe you hadn't thought about before. So I think it's important that when we have the courage to actually stand up and say, in the right setting, marijuana is a very positive experience in our lives. And I think many of us feel that, but haven't felt the political right to say it. Well, we can say it. And more, that is exactly what NORML does try to say. It's, of course we got to stop arresting smokers, but we also got to start encouraging people to don't abuse some of those more dangerous drugs. For Christ's sake, if you want the high experience, smoke marijuana. It's essentially harmless. No one has ever died in the history of mankind from smoking pot. You can't do it. We had an expert testify in the reclassification hearing in the 1980s that you'd have to eat 1,400 pounds, or maybe it was 1,500 pounds of